you go down to the village of Zenner and take a walk to the church, you'll find something interesting. On one of the benches is a carving of a woman with beautiful blonde hair. She holds a mirror in one hand and a comb in the other. But instead of human legs, she has a fish's tail, long and shiny. Of course, she is a mermaid. But how did such a creature end up on a church bench? Well, there is a story behind that. Many years ago, when people still believed in ghosts and monsters, she had long blonde hair and wore beautiful clothes, much nicer than all of the people of the village. Whenever they sang songs in church, she had the most beautiful voice, and everyone else sang quietly so they could hear her better. All the men and some of the women in the village wanted to talk to her. Who was this strange woman, and where had she come from? But as soon as church ended, she left quickly, and nobody could work up the courage to follow her. One man, Matthew Truella, was the most handsome man in the village. He had short, brown hair, and everyone said he would find a beautiful wife. But Matthew wasn't interested in any of the girls in the village. He was only interested in the mysterious woman who visited the church. Matthew often tried to work up the courage to follow her, but something always happened. The priest talked to him, or his friends did. Once or twice, he followed her out of the church, but she always disappeared quickly. He couldn't understand where she went. One day, the mysterious woman noticed Matthew. After church ended, she smiled at him and looked at the door. He followed her, and this time she walked slowly so he did not lose her. However, he could still not work up the courage to walk beside her. Finally, she came to the cliffs that overlooked the ocean. Matthew went and stood beside her, and they talked for a while. At least, that was what people saw. In the next moment, a cloud of fog arrived, and when it disappeared, Matthew and the mysterious woman were nowhere to be seen. For many years, people looked for Matthew Truella, but nobody found him. People thought that he must have run away with a beautiful woman, and nobody heard from him again. One day, a ship cast anchor near Zenner. The ship's captain was an old man with a thick white beard. He had traveled between Zenner and other places all his life, bringing goods to the village. He knew the people well, and he had heard the story of Matthew Truella. After casting anchor, the captain heard something strange. It was a beautiful voice singing, although he could not tell if it was a man's or a woman's. And most mysteriously, it was coming from the water where the anchor had fallen. The captain put his head over the ship's side and saw something very strange. A beautiful woman, or was it a man, came out of the water with long brown hair that shone in the sunlight. There was something in this person's eyes, something that made the captain want to jump into the sea and never come back. "Excuse me, kind captain," called the person. "I'm afraid you have cast anchor on the door of my house, and I would like very much to go home. Could you raise the anchor again?" The captain looked more closely and saw that, under the water, it was not a person at all. They had a tail. It had to be a mermaid. Some of the people in the town thought it was a mermaid who had taken Matthew Truella all those years ago, and the captain didn't like how this creature looked. "I will do no such thing," cried the captain. "You are a monster. You are the one who took Matthew Truella away." The mermaid looked very annoyed. "Well, that would be quite strange," they said, "because I am Matthew Truella. And I came into the sea because I wanted to, thank you very much. Now, are you going to let me get back to my wife and family, or do you want to become a mermaid too?" The captain didn't need to be asked twice. He pulled up the anchor, and the mermaid thanked him and swam away. The captain wanted very much to leave, but he had to tell the people of the village about what happened. When he told them he'd met Matthew Truella, and that the handsome young man was now a mysterious mermaid, the people all cried with fear. "That monster took our Matthew and gave him a tail. How awful. The captain tried to explain that Matthew looked quite happy with his life, but the people wouldn't listen. We must leave a warning, said the people, so that nobody will ever be taken by a mermaid again. And so, the mermaid was carved into the bench at the church of Zena, and all the parents told their children to be careful about mysterious women with long, beautiful hair. Of course, some did not see the carving as a warning, but as an invitation. If you go onto the cliffs of Zena late at night, the moon shines on the water like a mirror. Maybe you'll see a beautiful woman swimming in the sea, combing her long blonde hair. If it gets foggy, you might end up joining her.